The Threll and Corvani had been killing each other for 400 years over a plague no one could cure. Then they begged Earth for doctors. We sent one ship, the Compassion, a single medical vessel, tiny between two exhausted armadas, a point of clean light in a sea of war grime.
4 centuries of war. And they think one ship can fix this. But we have to try.
Both fleets are holding position, but the ceasefire is tissue paper thin.
Then we'd better not tear it.
In the conference room, the two alien commanders waited. The Threll, Commander Varnak, scarred and bitter. The Corvani, High Chirurgeon Kalara, precise and desperate.
Human, you brought one ship. We expected a fleet. Is this a joke?
The Thrall think everything is a weapon, including the plague. We need a cure, not soldiers.
We're not here to take sides. We're here to study the plague itself. That's our only mission.
The weight of 4 centuries pressed on that room, and Elizabeth had no promise to give, only the truth. Within hours, Elizabeth's team walked the dead surface. The plague saturated every grain of soil.
A pattern in the death. Why only these valleys, these plains?
In the lab, genetic analysis showed mutation clusters, not random, focused.
Captain Reyes, the hotspots align with something. Look at the orbital records.
They aligned with old bombardment coordinates, but Elizabeth dared not say it aloud, yet.
You hide behind science while my soldiers rot. Point at the Corvani. End this.
The Thrall sense blood. If you don't give them a villain, they'll make one of you.
Both fleets are prepping for combat. If you have a theory, now's the time.
The war is feeding the plague. I know it, but they'll kill each other before I can prove it.
The truth was dangerous, and time was running out. Elizabeth overlaid the plague map on the bombardment grid. The fit was perfect.
It's not a weapon. It's a wound. The war turned the organism into a killer.
She went to Varnak alone, a dangerous question on her lips.
You want to know if we bombed the plague zones. We bombed all zones. The Corvani used it first.
Varnak shut the door on the idea. She tried Kalara.
Orbital strikes were retaliation. The Thralls spread the plague. We answered, do not look for our guilt.
Neither of them sees it. They're so busy blaming each other, they can't see the truth.
She held the correlation tight, like live ammunition. Reveal it now, and both sides might turn on her.
I need genetic proof. The original organism, before the war. If I can find it.
The clock ticked louder. 2 fleets ready to fire. One secret buried in the soil, 50 meters beneath the contamination. They found it. Pristine soil, sealed before the first bomb fell. Under the microscope, the original organism glowed benign. It had been a partner to life, not a killer.
The current strain is a mutant, triggered by energy signatures from orbital weapons. The war created this killer.
If that's true, both sides have been feeding their own extinction. How do you plan to tell them?
I can't. Not yet. They'll tear each other apart, and us with them.
You've had time, human. Show us what you found, or I'll assume you're hiding Corvani lies.
The Thrall fleet is mobilizing for a preemptive strike. If you have proof of their bioweapon, now is the moment.
Elizabeth, if you present the truth without a way for them to save face, they'll obliterate each other and us. You need a strategy.
A strategy. The truth is the only strategy. But they're not ready to hear it.
She locked the data behind her highest clearance. For now, the proof would wait, but the fleets would not. The ceasefire shattered with a single warning shot. Before Varnak and Kalara could intervene, both patrols had weapons armed. Only a half-second hesitation kept the war from reigniting.
If they fire again, this ends. I have to show them now.
Within the hour, she summoned both commanders to her lab. The sealed data was unlocked. She projected the original organism, glowing peacefully. This is what the Hollow Plague used to be, a symbiote, harmless. Then, she overlaid the bombardment record. The mutations bloomed only where the bombs had fallen.
This is a trick. You are making excuses for the Corvani bioweapon.
Or covering for Thrall aggression. You want us to believe our war created our own sickness.
They turned on each other, And for a moment, the lab felt like a courtroom where both defendants were guilty.
They still can't see it. The only enemy is the war itself.
Outside, the fleets held their breath. Inside, the truth sat heavy, untouched and rejected. Varnak pulled her aside before she could leave the lab. His voice was raw, stripped of command.
All those generations, did they die for nothing? Did we just feed the thing we were fighting?
Not for nothing, for a lie. The only way to honor them now is to stop the war.
Kalara found her in the quiet of the medical bay, voice barely a thread.
If we accept this, we accept that we have been killing our own. How do we live with that?
By choosing to live. The cure is peace. It's the hardest medicine you'll ever take.
Varnak's eyes moved over the data once more, the holo reflecting in them like a verdict. Kalara's hand covered her mouth, scales dimming as she scrolled through the genetic proof. They asked for time to verify independently. Elizabeth gave them the raw data. No filters, no narrative. Varnak transmitted the file to his flagship. If this is false, you'll answer for it. But his threat was empty. Both Threll and Corvani science teams returned the same verdict within hours. The data was irrefutable. Kalara received her confirmation in silence, the bioluminescence of her scales flickering erratically. She summoned both commanders to the Compassion, to a sealed lab where she had prepared one final demonstration. A sample of the mutated organism floated in the containment field. Then she shielded it from the bombardment frequency. The virulent green faded. The organism reverted to its benign, symbiotic form. Peaceful.
400 years. We did this to ourselves.
All those years of blaming the Threll, and it was our own weapons.
There is no drug, no injection. The cure is peace. Stop the bombardment. The planet will heal itself.
Silence. The only sound was the low hum of the ship. The weight of 4 centuries pressed down on their shoulders. The war had been its own plague. Now came the harder battle, convincing 2 fleets to lay down their arms. The silence broke. Varnak's fist slammed the table, his roar filling the small lab.
We will be remembered as monsters. Tell them their fathers died for a mistake. They will tear my command apart.
Your people, my people will demand blood. 100 generations of hate cannot be undone with a scientist's truth.
They lunged, not for weapons, but for each other. Elizabeth stepped between them, hands raised.
Slaughter each other now, and the plague wins. I have another way. Let me tell them the truth. All of them.
And say what? That we are fools.
I'll say the plague was a natural disaster. The war accelerated it, but no one started it intentionally. It was a tragedy, not a crime.
A shared victimhood. It might be the only path. Their blame will shift to the disease itself, not to each other.
Very well. Human, you will speak. But if your words fail, the war will swallow us all.
The fate of 2 civilizations rested on a single broadcast, and Elizabeth had never felt the weight of words so heavily. The broadcast began. Elizabeth's face filled the screens of 2 war fleets, and her voice carried across the void.
People of the Threll and Corvani, the Hollow Plague is not your enemy. It is a victim of the war itself. It was once a harmless symbiote. Centuries of orbital bombardment mutated it into a killer.
Reactions rippled through the fleets. Shock, denial, but also a terrible, dawning recognition. On a Threll cruiser, a crewman demanded proof. The captain displayed the data. The silence was deafening. Then a warning shot split the void. A single Threll ship fired across a Corvani bow.
All Threll vessels hold fire. This is Varnak. Obey or face me directly.
Varnak's voice cracked across the channel. It was not authority, but anguish. The offending ship powered down. The fleets remained frozen, weapons still hot. Elizabeth's voice continued, weaving a future without bombardment. For a breath, the war stood still. Kalara faced the Corvani Medical Council. She raised the proof. The chamber erupted.
We have been killing ourselves. The plague is ours, mutated by our own bombardment. Deny it, and you deny science.
On the Threll flagship, Varnak silenced his war council with the same data.
We are not fools. We are victims of our own fire. Stand down, or be the last Threll to die for a lie.
Both commanders staked their lives on the truth. The fury faded into silence. The bombardment commands were rescinded. Weapon systems powered down across both fleets. For the first time in 4 centuries, no shot fired toward the planet. The silence was heavier than any war. It was 2 civilizations staring into their shared grave. Varnak and Kilara stood at a viewport, watching the still green planet below. Neither spoke. The war had stopped. But the cure was only beginning. Weeks later, the organism's toxicity dropped by 3%, a tiny number, but a world of hope. On the planet's surface, a single green shoot broke through the cracked, bombed soil. Varnak and Kilara met on the Compassion. Both seemed older, their eyes hollowed by guilt.
What do we do now, human? How do we live with the knowledge that we killed our own?
You live by rebuilding. Together, humanity will help, if you ask.
Together, after 400 years of killing, I would rather swallow fire.
Hate was the disease. The cure is not just peace, it's forgiveness.
Forgive ourselves? For all the blood?
Yes, and each other. That is the choice now.
The choice was theirs. The war had ended by truth. The peace had to be built by will. The day came when the air held breathable by both. Varnak and Kilara, side by side, stepped onto soil their ancestors had only bombed. Between them, they carried a flag, not of conquest, but of peace. A single emblem, crafted by Threll and Corvani hands together.
This is the first thing we have built together. Let it be the symbol of the last war.
If my ancestors could see this, they would spit. But they are dead, and I am tired of dying.
From the Compassion's observation deck, Elizabeth watched through a blur of tears.
You did it, Doctor. You ended a 400-year war.
Number. They did. We just showed them the door.
The flag rose over a crater that had once been a battlefield. The planet's first green shoot grew at its base. In that moment, the war did not just pause. It ended, but the hardest battles are not the ones with weapons. They are the ones with memories. The fleets turned their weapons to debris fields. Threll and Corvani worked side by side, rusted by centuries of hate. Aid shipments crossed the void. The Compassion's medical bay filled with patients from both sides, each glare a reminder. On a salvage rig, a Threll engineer shoved a Corvani. A blade flashed. Varnak's voice cracked through the comm, freezing them.
You want to kill. Kill the hatred in your mind first, or kill me.
Every day, we are one forgotten, old grudge away from annihilation.
They don't need us anymore. This peace must belong to them, or it will never hold.
Earth is asking when we'll return.
Soon. But let me speak to Varnak and Kilara first. They have to carry this.
She met them in the conference room. The silence was not hostile. It was tired.
Humanity's work here is almost done. The rest is yours now.
The farewell was quiet. In the conference room, Varnak pressed a joint peace medal into Elizabeth's hand, forged from the hulls of warships that once fired on each other.
You gave us a bitter medicine, Doctor, but it saved us.
We will remember your kind, not as warriors, but as healers.
Elizabeth's eyes glistened, but she held her composure. She embraced each of them briefly, without words. Then came the formal gestures, handshakes that had once been unthinkable. Varnak's grip was firm, Kilara's fingers delicate but steady. On the bridge, Captain Reyes ordered the undocking sequence. The Compassion disengaged with a gentle shudder. Outside, the medical ship pulled away from the silent fleets, its med beacons pulsing a soft goodbye. From the observation deck, Elizabeth watched the alien craft shrink into the starfield.
They'll be all right, because they chose to be.
The Compassion turned toward the black, carrying no weapons, only a truth that had ended 4 centuries of slaughter. As the Compassion cleared the fleet perimeter, the first Threll ship flashed its running lights. Once, twice, then the Corvani answered. Ship after ship, across both armadas, the cold void bloomed with a million points of light.
They learned that from us. A human salute of all things.
We came to cure a plague. We ended a war.
Elizabeth pressed a hand to the cold glass, the light dancing in her tears. The salute held until the compassion reached the jump point. A silent goodbye from two peoples who had forgotten how to speak peace. On the bridge, Reyes initiated the warp sequence. The stars stretched into lines, and the compassion vanished into the greater dark.
We gave them a chance. That's all any of us ever get.
Behind them, the fleets remained, silent and illuminated, the planet beginning its long heal. On Earth, the news broke. The 400-year war was over, ended by a single medical ship. Celebrations erupted. In the council chambers, officials replayed the alien fleet's salute. Odd, but for Elizabeth, the true victory came quietly. A data packet arrived from Varnak and Kalara. She opened it. An image of a young forest, green spreading across the cratered wasteland. The message read, it started with a single leaf. Thank you.
It's working. Peace is growing.
She closed the message, a quiet smile on her lips. The galaxy now understood what humanity truly offered. Not just medicine, but the courage to face the truth. And her work was far from over. There were more worlds, more plagues, more chances to heal. She looked out at the stars. There was always another world, and she would be ready. A year later, the planet breathed. A new city rose where once only craters yawned. Threll and Corvani architecture, woven side by side. Varnak and Kalara stood on a balcony, the scarred commander and the precise chirurgeon, watching children from both species chase each other through the square. The children did not know war. They only knew the small forest at the city's edge, where the first green shoot had broken through.
She was right. The war was the plague.
Peace is the cure, and we let ourselves be healed.
On the plaza below, a monument had been raised, a simple pillar inscribed with the names of both species dead, and a single word, truth. Varnak raised a glass. The liquid inside was a bitter Threll brew, but he did not grimace.
To humanity. The healers who showed us the door.
To those who cure not only bodies, but histories.
The sun set behind them, painting the healing world in gold. And for the first time in 4 centuries, the future was not a battlefield, but a home. The planet healed in rolling waves of green, spreading across craters like a slow forgiveness. The monument to the dead stood in the center of the city, carved with a single word, truth. The compassion, that single medical ship, had become a legend whispered across fleets. Elizabeth watched from a distant observation deck, her new mission just beginning.
The hardest cures aren't in a syringe. Sometimes the only cure is the truth.
Humanity had offered no weapons, no ultimatums, only that truth. And 2 species, once enemies, now raised children in the shadow of peace. Children who knew only the forest, not the fire. Humanity. We don't just fight wars, we end them. And the stars, for the first time in 4 centuries, reflected hope. The compassion silhouette, white and blue against the golden sunrise of a healing world, shrank into the distance. They had asked for doctors, 2 warring empires who had burned for 4 centuries. Earth sent 1 ship, and they got a lesson in what humanity truly offers. Not just healing, but the courage to face the truth. The truth that the war was the plague, and that peace was the cure. That truth, once spoken, ended 400 years of slaughter. Now, Threll and Corvani children play together in gardens that once were craters. The hardest cures aren't in a syringe. They are in the words we are afraid to say. That truth, that courage, is what humanity offers. The stars. We don't just fight wars, we end them. They asked for doctors. And humanity gave them the one thing more powerful than any weapon, the truth. The hollow plague is gone. Only the monument remains, carved with the names of those who died for a lie and a single word, truth. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne continued to heal worlds, but she always said the greatest cure she ever witnessed was not in a lab.
It's when 2 old enemies chose to plant a forest together and let their children play in its shade.
Centuries of hate washed away by a single revelation. The war itself was the disease. The galaxy took notice. Other worlds, trapped in cycles of violence, reached out. Not for weapons, but for doctors, because humanity had proven that sometimes the most strategic victory is a truce, and the bravest warrior is a physician. The Compassion became a legend, a ship that fired nothing, yet ended a 400-year war. And in the hearts of every human, there was a quiet pride, not for our armies, but for our mercy. Humanity, we don't just fight wars, we end them. The green returned to the skies of that forgotten world, and with it, a quiet that had not been heard in 4 centuries. A generation rose that did not know the sound of orbital bombardment, only the laughter of friends from 2 species. At the monument, a Corvani elder and a Threll veteran now sat together. Not as former enemies, but as neighbors. The Compassion never returned to that world. Its work was done, the door opened, the truth delivered. But in the archives of both empires, a single human name was etched beside the word Peacemaker, Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne. And on a distant world, Elizabeth looked out at a new sunrise, the peace medal resting over her heart.
One leaf, one truth. That's all it took.
The story of the Compassion spread across the galaxy, a reminder that the light of mercy shines brighter than any war. Humanity, we don't just fight wars, we end them. The war is over. The plague is gone. But the lesson remains, shining like a star in the memory of 2 civilizations. In the archives of the universe, among the tales of conquerors and tyrants, a new story is told. A story of a single medical ship. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne once said, "The hardest cures aren't in a syringe." She was right. At the heart of the new city, the monument still stands, carved with a single word, truth. And beneath it, flowers bloom. Children who never knew war play in the shade of a forest their parents planted together. The Compassion never fired a shot, yet it etched a new path across the stars, a path of mercy, not destruction. The galaxy learned that humanity's greatest strength is not in our armies, but in our capacity for compassion. And so, when the Threll and Corvani begged for doctors, Earth sent one ship. And it was enough. Humanity, we don't just fight wars, we end